Hey there, welcome back to Nat's Chats, or if you're new, hi, I'm Natalie, and this is where I like to build things in Sims or Parkitect or games similar and talk about self-development topics or really anything I'm really feeling at that moment. So if that is something you're interested in and you haven't already subscribed, then go ahead and hit that subscribe button and join this little community. And I look forward to hearing from you in the comments as well. So today's topic is going to be around talking more about what I feel like one of the big root things that we need in order to move through kind of a human evolution, right? To evolve our consciousness. So one of the important things that, I've experienced in my personal life is really learning how to be in this good relationship with myself when it comes to respecting my boundaries and going after what I want and not falling into pleasing other people. And that's always been really difficult for me throughout my whole life. So I kind of wanted to talk about, the importance of self-love and self-acceptance. And really when it comes to just accepting who you are, you start to respect your boundaries and what you need and what you desire. And there are a few things that I just feel like do not, nurture this idea, because really from the beginning, our society has taught us not to go within, right? Self-development, that's a pretty new age thing. And there's a lot of different things around it, but really it's all about just learning who you are, healing and, reprogramming your trauma and dealing with your mindsets, just kind of taking accountability for what the system has done to you and kind of get yourself in this new space of awareness and get yourself open to new experiences, right? That's what part of evolution is experiencing things. And, we're at such a crucial part as a human collective right now, because when you look at the state of the world, and no matter when you're watching this, things are always happening because I feel like we're always evolving and we're just trying to figure out how to come back together as a collective. We're still in this kind of biological old mindset of competitiveness, and that we have to be against each other, and that emotions and all these different things that we've been programmed to believe are weakness and so on and so forth, right? And it just causes all of this chaos and all of these terrible things. And so, the world is trying to, the human collective is trying to raise our consciousness. We have all of these amazing movements of people, finally us all being like, we're fed up not treating other humans like humans. We're getting to this point where anything less than love is just not acceptable, because we have to accept each other if we expect to go anywhere outside of our planet. But that's a whole other conversation. But the point is that in order to kind of reach these states of higher consciousness, we have to be in a state of knowing who we are. And when you know who you are, you do exactly what you need to do to get yourself to where you want to be, where you need to be, whatever it is. And I feel like the problem is hustle culture is something that I feel like just shuts off this kind of ability to go within. And I talked about this in my last episode. If you haven't seen it, I'll link it in the cards, where I'm talking about space. And so talking about having space to do things, we're so conditioned to just believe that we need to work so hard in order to accomplish things. And I'm not speaking for, every country. I'm from the US, so I'm just speaking from, the society that I grew up in and what I've experienced in my corporate career, basically. So, I won't speak for other countries, but that has been my experience. Hustle culture is very celebrated. In my experience, I was in sales for, 4 years. And And I really experienced that, where there were people who would stay, really late hours into the night or go home and make more calls, right? And so it was always kind of this pressure because they were always celebrated as, wow, look at them and the effort they're putting in, and this is how you get stuff done, team, and this is what it's like to have that hungry growth mindset. And it never sat with me because I was like, I think if sales really is your passion, then that's fine. Like if that's his passion and that's why, that hustle culture was so present, then you know what, like that's fine. But even then, I think there needs to be healthy balances. The issue is most people don't like their job, right? Most people work because they have to. It's the way that our society is designed. And so most people don't like what they do. And I'm a believer that I don't think you have to love what you do, but I don't think you should be miserable, and I don't think you should have to give that much of your life and time to something that doesn't really serve you besides giving you money. You know what I mean? Like most people, I think it's okay to have a job that you're not passionate about, as long as you can pursue your passions or dreams or ambitions outside of your job, right? And that's the problem, is most people, that is the case, where they're like, yeah, my job, I'm in sales, but that's not my passion. I actually want to work with people in self-development, right? But this is something that is just gonna work for now. And it's like, the problem is people don't even have enough space because they work so much. So they don't even have enough space to even pursue what they want to do. Because how can you think about, studying for, that exam to get certified, or going to school and continuing, or whatever it is that you want to do, or finally starting that business? You still have to have space in order to do that. And people don't even have the space. And so that's a problem, is people spend 60 years working on something that they probably eventually hate, because it takes so much of their space. It doesn't seem to be refilling their cup because they're not happy. They're not fulfilled. And then that's the problem, is they feel stuck in this hustle culture. They feel stuck in this space. And it's like, we shouldn't have to be working ourselves to the brim, to the bone, that we don't even have space to live our own lives. And I was a victim of this for a long time, and it finally made me realize that I'm not even living my life. Like my biggest goal was to get that next promotion, like nothing to do with what I was actually interested in. And so it's like, I think the key here is that we all are working on our self-acceptance and our self-love, because when you do that, you open up kind of this space to know who you are, know what you want, know what your boundaries are, and you start to have that respect where you will stand up for yourself. I no longer feel that guilt of being like, of falling into hustle culture, because I know the truth. I know that I'm doing my best work, and it leaves me space to enjoy other things in my life. And that's the balance. And it took me a long time to be kind of in that state of acceptance, of just accepting that what I do is enough, and I don't need to overextend myself to be accepted, to be seen as somebody who is successful, because that is not what it's about. You don't have to work yourself to the brim to be successful. It can really be the opposite, because the more space that you have available, the more you can create, the more you can use more of your conscious awareness to make decisions, to be able to move things forward. When you feel like you're so boggled down by so much, you don't have space to make decisions. So, it's something I'm really passionate about. It's important to just start from the root, which is yourself. And that's kind of, what all of this conversation is about, is working on your self-love and your self-acceptance will allow you to put up the boundaries necessary so that you can not be overworked and you don't have to hate what you love. And if you're employment opportunity doesn't respect that, then that's when you respect yourself and you see where you can move, right? You see what you can do differently to get yourself in a situation that is going to respect that. You don't want to be at a company who completely only celebrates and looks at hustle culture. I think a lot more companies are moving with the consciousness of kind of the human collective, and they're also changing some of the ways that they see work. I think COVID kind of really helped people see the benefits of like working remotely, and I'm kind of just speaking here mostly in the tech space because that's where my experience is. But it's like, working remotely has really kind of showed employers some different options, right? And employees have spoken out about how it helps their mental health, or it helps them feel like they have more time to actually be productive. All of these different things, and employers are actually starting to listen because we're all evolving. So I urge you that start that self-journey, start that self-growth journey if you haven't already, because it's an ongoing journey. But the more that you heal, the more that you learn, the more that you respect yourself and all of these different things that come with discovering who you truly are, the more that you're actually going to be experiencing and enjoying life, because you open up space. And I can never stop talking about space because it's been the most influential thing in my life and other lives as I've been seeing. And so I come and share that kind of nugget of thought, of thinking about, okay, how can I kind of show up to honor myself? How can I show up in the workplace to honor myself and be that example too, right? Show others that it's okay and acceptable to honor what you need and honor what you seek, and allow yourself some of that space to come back to who you are. What do you want to do? Because here's the question. I want you guys just to exercise like your imagination for a minute, okay? If you had all the time in the world, all the money in the world, you had zero obligations, what would you do with that time? Really think about it. What would you do with that time? Because when someone asked me that question, and I remember kind of freezing and being like, and I asked that question in one of my coaching sessions, and people freeze because we've never been asked that question really, We're asked like, well, what do you want to do when you grow up? What do you want to do when you get to work, right? Like, this is all we're ever thinking about. And it's like, if you truly could just do what you want to do, what would it be? And once you identify that, start implementing it in your life and make the space so that you feel fulfilled. And if you already have that, great, awesome. Keep looking at how you can always be honoring what you need so that you consistently have space to keep doing what you love. Because that's the thing, is as more people, as more of us are aligned to who we are, to our interests, to our passions, to our emotions, to ourselves, the more of us get there, the more our consciousness rises, the more we progress forward. And that's what's so beautiful about it, right? Is we all have the power just within ourselves. You don't have to do anything to change the world, but change yourself. I know it's kind of inspiring, right? But it's not my idea. It's just the truth. It's where we're headed as a human collective. So many people talk about it. So many people see it, and I really do see it coming. So, obviously I have a lot of passion around these different topics. And I think I can just truly say that the root to self-development and all of these different things about figuring out who you are comes down to self-love, respecting and truly loving yourself for who you are. And I know it can be hard because we all have different aspects of ourselves, but you have to start looking at your strengths. Some exercises that I've done is literally like mapping out my strengths, writing them down, saying I am someone who's ambitious, someone who's patient, somebody who is really creative, somebody who's a leader, right? Like, actually acknowledging your strengths, because when you start seeing these things and you start actually putting them on paper, and instead of just thinking about them, you actually take action to see them, they start being implemented into your life. And I'm just such a believer that the importance of the self, and we were just never taught to look within ever. And the more that you do it, the more empowered you feel and the more free you feel, because all of a sudden you have this space and it's like, what do I do with this? What do I do with this? So yeah, that's what I really wanted to talk about today. You know, I really sat here and I was like, what should I talk about? Trying to be super strategic and, you know, trying to plan it out. And I just was like, what do I want to talk about? And this is just something that I am just so passionate about and probably could talk about over and over, because it is just such an important topic. So I just kind of went with it, and I'm glad I did. So I would love to hear your guys' thoughts down below. I always want to remind you guys that these are just my opinions and my truths. Okay, we all have different experiences. We all come from different ways of life and everything. I mean, that's the point. That's a beautiful thing, is we all have different perspectives. So if something, you know, that I talk about doesn't resonate or you don't agree, again, that's completely okay. I'm just here to provide a space of what I've learned and what I'm going through and what I'm learning, and people who resonate and agree, we can share ideas, and people who don't, that's okay. You got another perspective that you learned isn't your truth, and that's great. That's what we're all here to do, is just figure out who we are and who we click with, right? Who we connect with. So wanted to always mention that. So thank you so much for being here and being present. And really, this is almost like an investment in yourself, being part of this channel, because I'm always going to offer free content here. And I'm always up to take topics, or if there's certain things that you guys want me to cover. But otherwise than that, I'm just going to go with, you know, really what is present for me. And as I'm learning different things, and as I'm progressing as a human and as a person, and as my consciousness evolves, you know, so will this channel, and so will the topics and all kinds of cool things. So, but I'm really excited to be here. So thank you so much for your support and for being here as well. And I will definitely see you guys in the next one. I hope you enjoy the rest of the build. This was a great one. Clearly you can see I love building like go-karts, so yeah, I have like 200 hours in this game, but it is what it is.